Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Pokemon Online Battle Series. First, I want to apologize for the infrequent uploads as I've been pretty busy lately, especially since school has started again for me. And due to my absence, my rating has decayed pretty drastically. It used to be somewhere above 1400 since the last episode, if I recall. But hopefully, this doesn't matter and I can rank back up pretty swiftly. I have created a bunch of new teams on my free time. Most of these teams are for fun, and a couple of them with a few new ideas that I've thought of. So I'm gonna try them all out, and hopefully you guys like them. Okay, so let's see. The first team I'm gonna use is gonna be. Let's use this team. It's a new team that I've created with Stoutland in it. Stoutland, in my opinion, is a very underrated Pokemon. It doubles its speed in the Sandstorm, has pretty great bulk, really great revenge killer. So let's try it out. I'm up against this guy, but he just forfeited. I'm guessing he probably doesn't want to get recorded on YouTube. Maybe a bit shy. Oh well, let's try another battle. Find battle. Hopefully someone doesn't forfeit this time. Up against Ouijacio, however you pronounce that. His team, Politoed, Rotomosh, Ferrothorn, Toxicroak, Cloyster, and Gliscor. Okay, I'll lead off with, let's see. He's probably gonna lead off with this Politoed just to get his rain up. In that case, I could just go with my Celebi, but my Celebi is not my Stealth Rock supporter. I'm just gonna lead off with Hippowdon because Hippowdon is slower and he's gonna get the Sandstorm up. But he leads off with this Ferrothorn. Okay, just gonna set up my Stealth Rock. Now the best thing about his team is that he doesn't have a Ghost type, making it easier for my Claydol to Rapid Spin at any moment. And I'm also using Claydol, which in my opinion is another underrated Pokemon in the OU metagame. It can wall a lot of big threats like uh, Terrakion, which is a huge threat in the OU metagame. And now I'm just gonna Rapid Spin away that hazard. He's gonna use Gyro Ball. It's not gonna do much. Okay, let's see, what can I do? Ferrothorn is a pretty big problem to this team. Guess I overlooked it while building it. I built it pretty quickly just to use Stoutland in a stall team. The idea I got from the user 90, which who was pretty successful in using Sandstall with Stoutland. So I'm gonna switch back to my Celebi, which can pretty much wall Politoed. And he's probably gonna switch back to Ferrothorn. If not, let's see what he does. I'm gonna just use Toxic, just to poison it. But I miss. Okay, I'm just gonna use Recover now. He seems to just stay in on Celebi. Okay, Ice Beam isn't doing much. It's only 27%. So it's pretty uncommon for a user to stay in with the Politoed. He switches out to Rotom Wash, which kind of totally blows my mind here, because why would you switch a Rotom Wash on a Celebi? Because Celebi walls Rotom Wash. And that's why, because he wanted to use Trick. So I was expecting something like ridiculous, something like Trick. So he does use Trick, and he's probably going to switch out to like Ferrothorn. No? Okay. Taking down Rotom Wash, which is a pretty big threat to this team if I didn't have Celebi. He switches to Ferrothorn now, which gets weakened from my rocks and spikes, so that's great. And I'll switch to Skarmory again, which pretty much walls Ferrothorn, unless if he uses Leech Seed. I'm just gonna weaken it with Brave Bird, see what he does. He uses spikes, okay. I'm just gonna use Brave Whirlwind, just to Whirlwind it out. Goes to his Gliscor, which isn't gonna do much. I'm just gonna use this opportunity to switch to my Claydol and use Rapid Spin. Uses Sword Stand, so that tells me it might be a Ice Fang Gliscor with Earthquake as well. Let's see. Nope, he does have the move Ice Fang. He uses Ice Fang, gets a critical hit, which did matter because my Clay Doll's pretty bulky, would have lived, and I could have gotten a Rapid Spin there, but that's unfortunate for me that I didn't. Oh well, so I'll send in my Skarmory now and Roost back up. Cause Ice Fang isn't gonna do much, but he gets lucky and flinches me instead. But I'll use Roost. This time, luckily I didn't get flinched again, and I'll use Whirlwind. He wants to Rapid Spin some more. I mean, he wanted to Swords Dance some more, but I have Whirlwind, so could phase it out at any moment. Now he has his Cloyster here, which he could use Rapid Spin, but you don't really a Rapid Spin on Cloyster is very rare. Even though it's a pretty good idea to have Rapid Spin on Cloyster, but it's also very rare, so he probably doesn't have the move Rapid Spin. So I'm just gonna Whirlwind it away. Yep, he uses Icicle Spear and gets a critical hit, but doesn't matter much. I'm just gonna Roost back up to health. His team is very weak to Skarmory, so that's great for me, as I can just Whirlwind at any time, deal damage to any of his Pokemon. He switches to Toxicroak, does a lot of damage. I'm just gonna use Brave Bird. Toxicroak is not gonna be able to do anything basically. He's gonna be forced to switch out. And he's probably gonna switch out to something like Politoed or Gliscor, but Gliscor is not gonna do much. That's why he switched to Politoed here. And so what I'll do is could go to my Scarf Celebi, which I don't really need much. So I'm gonna do that because Jellicent is gonna be pretty useful because of his Gliscor. So I don't want to switch to Jellicent just to take a possible Toxic. So that's why I went to Celebi. I'm just gonna use Psychic, which is gonna 2 HKO his Politoed, not OHKO. Because Politoeds are pretty bulky in special defense, even if you don't give them EVs in it. He's probably gonna switch out. But he doesn't have any safe switch out. His Ferrothorn is going to take a lot of damage. He switches to Gliscor, that's fine by me. Psychic does a lot of damage because Gliscors don't really have great special defense. And when he's Psychic once more, he's probably going to use Ice Fang, yeah, just to weaken my Celebi. But it doesn't matter, and he's going to Protect here just to get some recovery. But if he gets 2 Protects in a row, then that would suck for me, but he doesn't use Protect for some odd reason. Loses his Gliscor, sends in his Cloyster, dies from the spikes and Stealth Rock damage. Cloyster basically takes 50% damage from 3 spikes and Stealth Rock. And Polito is gonna die thanks to the spikes and Stealth Rock on this team. It makes taking down threats really easy. He's gonna send in his Toxicroak to Sucker Punch. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna stay in to take the Sucker Punch so I can safely send in my Skarmory and Brave Bird. Uses Drain Punch, is not gonna do much. Brave Bird will take it down. And now his Ferrothorn is gonna die off from my Skarmory's Brave Bird. So that was a pretty great game, although I didn't have the chance to show off my Stoutland. So maybe the next battle. So fine battle again. Let's try it out again with this team against me, Ben. Okay, his team is Politoed, Vaporeon, Jirachi Gliscor, Toxicroak, and Chansey. Okay, and again I'm gonna lead off with my Hippowdon just to get the Sandstorm. He leads off with this Jirachi. His Jirachi is probably his Stealth Rock supporter. So I'm just gonna set up my Stealth Arc as well, as he does. He's probably gonna use U-turn or switch out to like Gliscor to take Earthquake, but no, he stays in. Oddly enough, his water pulse had a 40% chance of confusion, which he gets. Okay, not too worried about that. I did get through that and did quite a lot damage to his Jirachi there. So I'm just gonna use Earthquake again. He's not gonna want to stay in this time. He switches out to Gliscor. And Gliscor pretty much allows my Skarmory to set up spikes. Because Gliscor is not gonna do much even with Swords Dance, as you guys seen from last battle. So I'm gonna spikes up again and again. He switches out to his Politoed. Not a problem. Jellicent pretty much walls it. Unless if he uses Toxic, but I have Heal Bell on my Celebi, so I'm not worried about that. He switches to his Toxicroak. Then I'll just switch back to Hippowdon, bring back my Sandstorm, and use Earthquake here. But he uses Ice Punch and knocks out my Hippowdon in one shot. I did not expect Hippowdon to die in one shot. Even though I EV'd it in special defense, I thought he had enough physical bulk to live that. But I guess it doesn't, so that's a pretty big problem. But nonetheless, I'm just gonna send in my Stoutland, which outspeeds. This is gonna force him to switch. He's probably gonna switch to something like Jirachi, if not stay in. He stays in, loses his Toxicroak, which was a pretty big problem, so that's great that I've taken it down pretty early. Switches to his Vaporeon, and so I'm just gonna go to my Celebi, which pretty much walls it, and I also have Toxic. It's probably a Hydration Vaporeon, because he's using it in Rain. So let's see, but he doesn't have the Rain up, so I can just go for the Toxic. He switches out to Jirachi, not a problem. Since he's using it in the Rain team, it might also have Thunder, so I'm not going to switch to my Skarmory. I'll just go to... I also don't want to go to Claydol and get Flinch Hacks, but don't have a option at the moment, so I'm going to have to go to my Claydol. But his Jirachi is the Water Pulse Psyshock Jirachi. Probably has as well as Stealth Rock, so it probably has Water Pulse Psyshock. Maybe with Iron Head. Pretty weird set. But I'm going to use Rapid Spin here. Water Pulse is not going to do much. Claydol is very bulky, as it is a very underrated Pokemon, as I've stated before. It does a lot of work. So I'm just going to use Earthquake again. He's trying to go for that 40% chance of Water Pulse Confusion, with the coupled with 50% chance of Confusion actually hitting. It's not that high of a chance. It's about 20% chance of actually happening. So it wasn't a great thing to do right there. He goes to his Gliscor, which pretty much walls Claydol, but in return it has Ice Fang and Swords Dance. I'm just gonna go to my Skarmory, just so I can set up another layer of spikes before I Whirlwind it. And here I'm gonna Whirlwind it out to his Vaporeon. Okay, and I'll go to... Let's see, I could go to Jellicent this time, but I don't want to get Toxic. Let's go to Celebi. Uses Rest, but Rain's not up, so he's not gonna get the recovery there. But he's probably gonna switch out because of that. Switches to his Chansey. Takes a lot of damage from the Stealth Rock spikes, Sandstorm damage. So that's pretty great. Um, hmm. I'll just go to my Skarmory here then. Use his Wish. Probably to heal up his Politoed, I'm guessing, so he can safely switch out to that. I'll just use Whirlwind. Goes to his Vaporeon. Doesn't matter. Sleeping. I'll use Whirlwind once again, because his Vaporeon is not going to do anything there. Whirlwind again. And Chansey's gone, just like that. To the entry hazard and Sandstorm damage. And Politoed is slowly dying as well. So that's great. I'll go to Celebi. Hydro Pump only did 28%. And now I'll recover. Now the bad thing is I don't have Hippowdon, so I can't send in my Sandstorm to stop his hydration Vaporeon, if his Vaporeon has hydration. He gets critical hit twice in a row. Whoa. First 72% and then a maximum damage of 83% with the critical hit, allowing him to take down my Celebi. Now, Celebi was a pretty important Pokemon for my team, especially to take down Gliscor and Vaporeon. Hmm, well, that was very unlucky for me. I'm gonna have to go to my Jellicent and hope that he doesn't have Toxic, because now I don't have Heal Bell to use from my Celebi. He stays in. Uses Ice Beam. Okay, I'm just gonna use Taunt and just Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball through. Hoping that I don't get frozen from the Ice Beam. He gets another critical hit. So that's a pretty lucky Politoed. Already got 3 critical hits. I'll use Recover here just to be at safe health. And use Shadow Ball for one last time. Now he sends in his Vaporeon. Now he does not heal from hydration, so maybe it's gonna heal off in the next turn. Let's see. I'm gonna use Shadow Ball, and there we go. Hydration heals it, but I'm gonna taunt it, so I'm not gonna allow it to get rest, and I'm just gonna beat it that way with the taunt and Shadow Ball. All I have to hope for is not get frozen from the Ice Beam. I got a special death drop there, so that's great. I'll use taunt once again and use Shadow Ball. And one more Shadow Ball will finish it off. And then I can finish off his Gliscor with Scald. And thanks to Rain, it's gonna boost my Scald. So his Gliscor can't really do much. And that's game. Great game. I'm gonna look for another battle. This time with a different team. Let's go with um okay, let's go with this team. This team, the idea behind this team is to abuse Rocky Helmet. And so I've given my Ferrothorn and Garchomp Rocky Helmet in a Rainstall team. So let's see how well that does. Like up against Nabit, his team Politoed, Ferrothorn, Sableye, Dragonite, Gengar, and Jirachi. Kinda similar. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna lead off with, if I recall, I've given my Ferrothorn Spikes, my Garchomp. I'm not sure which. I probably gave my Celebi Stealth Rock. I'm pretty sure about that, so I'm just gonna lead off with my Celebi. Okay, yeah, I did give it Stealth Rock, so I'm just gonna set up my Stealth Rock here. Sableye isn't gonna do much. It's gonna use Will-O-Wisp, but I have Natural Cure, so I'm not worried about that. And do I want to set up Rain here? It's gonna benefit him as well. My Garchomp is a Swords Dancing Garchomp with Rocky Helmet. Don't want to switch to that, of course, because he might use Will-O-Wisp again. So the only safest bet I have right now is to go to Politoed or Tentacruel. He switches out to Ferrothorn. Now, I don't really need my Politoed much, so I could just stay in and just hope for Scald Burns. Um, so I'll just use Scald. And I did get lucky, 30% chance of burning, and I burned his Ferrothorn, so that's really great. Now I can safely switch to my Tentacruel to spin. He sends in his Sableye. Now Sableye, I'm just gonna scout it first, see what it does. Uses Taunt, okay. Now I'm gonna use Scald. He stays in, uses Will-O-Wisp. I'm just gonna Scald again, just hope for another burn of 30% chance. Yep, thanks to the Scald burning gods. I'll now use Scald again, recover, okay. It's gonna do more damage from the Will-O-Wisp and Scald, so I could just keep on using Scald. Or I could just switch to, yeah, I'm just gonna play it safe, go to my Celebi right now and use Heal Bell. Yeah, okay, but he uses Taunt, alright. This is a smart move on his part. I'm just gonna go to my Politoed, because I don't really need Politoed as much as I need my Tentacle for spinning. So now I'm just gonna use Scalds here. Does 50%, 50% with the Will-O-Wisp, 12.5%, 62%, doing more than him recovering. But this time it does 45% minimum damage. Doesn't matter, I could just stall him, force his PP recover to PP stall it out. I'll just keep using Scald here. And now I can switch to my Celebi to use Heal Bell. Okay, and now I'm just gonna switch to my Tentacruel. And he's most likely gonna switch out to his Sableye. So I'm gonna use Scald. Uses Protect, doesn't matter. I'll use Rapid Spin this time actually. He has Gengar. I think I overlooked that. I thought he had one ghost. Yeah, he does have two ghosts. Alright. I'm afraid he might have Thunder because he's using Gengar in a Rain Stall team. So I'm just gonna scout it first. Use Protect. Use a substitute. Doesn't really matter because I have Jirachi, which is specially defensive. Now since he used Shadow Ball instead of Thunder, that tells me his Gengar doesn't have Thunder. So that makes life easier. I'll use Protect. Now I need to get off a Rapid Spin because he has two Ghost types. That's gonna it's gonna be pretty painful to this team because if I'm not able to Rapid Spin, then he can pretty much cripple my whole team since he has Spikes and Stealth Rock set up. Okay, he's probably gonna use Disable here. I'm just gonna use Thunder. Any Pokemon he switches to isn't gonna take Thunder too well. He switches to Sableye, so Sableye's gone. He sends in his own Jirachi. Now, my team is pretty much weak to Sub-CM Jirachi, so I'm hoping it doesn't have the move Substitute. Hmm. Um, let's see, what should I do? Could stay in and just hope for a paralysis to make my life easier. So I'm just gonna do that. Use Thunder. He stays in. Okay. Just use Wish here as he uses Wish. He's probably gonna switch to his Ferrothorn to heal it back up. So I'm just gonna switch to my Tentacruel, expecting that. So that's great that I've recovered my Tentacruel, which is gonna force him to send in his Gengar to avoid the Rapid Spin. So I'm gonna use Rapid Spin first because he's probably gonna use Protect, but he doesn't use Protect. So I've taken out his Spikes and Stealth Rock, so that's really great. And that makes life easier because I'm gonna switch out to my Garchomp now and use Sword Dance. He's gonna use Leech Seed. He misses, so that's great. And now I'll use Earthquake. Take down his Ferrothorn. But he still has a Stealth Rock up. But my team is not weak to Stealth Rock, so that's fine by me. He's probably gonna switch out to now, let's see, maybe Gengar, but it's not gonna do much. His whole team is pretty weak to Garchomp. Now my Garchomp is Rocky Helmet. I'm not sure whether his Politoed is Choice Scarfed or not. So, do I really want to risk staying in? Since he did hesitate, take some time to think and send in his Politoed, that tells me that his Politoed is probably bulky to take a Sword Dance Earthquake, but not an Outrage. So I'm gonna go for Outrage. I'm pretty sure he's not because he hesitated on that play. Yep. And that's what happens when players hesitate. It lets you know that they probably don't have that move and they're probably stuck and probably thinking as well. So yeah, if he did have Choice Scarf Pytoad, he would have instantly sent it out on the Garchomp to Ice Beam. Uses Protect. That's great because it stops my uh, Garchomp being confused. So now I can just use Earthquake here, and I can basically sweep his whole team now. Dragonite's not going to be able to outspeed. So I'm just going to use Outrage. And his last Pokemon is Gengar, so he can just hope for Substitute. But no, he doesn't go for that. Wouldn't have done much. because I still have other Pokemon to take down his Gengar, even if he had hacks there. So that's great. One with a 6-0 victory. And my rating now is 1295. So it's great. Thanks for watching and tune in to the next episode.